Hello and welcome back, folks. HeirofCarthage here in Total War Warhammer 3. Hope you're having a great day. I've got what I think is going to be a really fun battle for you. I'm going to be taking the Chaos Dwarves into battle against Indypride and his Norscan army. Indypride, of course, runs the Milk and Cookies Total War channel. Make sure you go look at it. He has some awesome edited videos that really have excellent scripts, great cinematics. He does really good work. Make sure you go check it out. He is definitely a highlight of the Total War community, in my opinion, and has been for a long time. So, like I said, if you haven't seen his videos, go check it out. I'll have it linked in the description. Now, I've got a couple of Wolf Riders in this army. I really like the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders against factions that potentially have lower armor targets. And Norsca does have plenty of lower armor targets. Trolls, hounds. Look at this, though. I'm not using the skirmish mode yet on the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, and I realized that he started to collapse in on me here with the Ice Wolves, who they're going to have frostbite, so if they touch me, it's bad news. And then he's got the Beast of Tashnor, so I figure my best bet here is to just run. Just run, and keep firing, and hope for the best. I have a Bull Centaur Taruk, or some of you have called it the Bull Centaur Ford Taurus, which I believe is a pretty good name and almost sounds reminiscent of our good friend Maximus back in the room 2 days. So I'm going to come out here and use the Bull Centaur to try and scare off those hounds. I've also got a Great Taurus supporting him. So we have the Ford Taurus and I guess the Ford Taurus LX, like Flying Edition. In terms of the army, I've got plenty of chaff. I love using the chaff as the Chaos Dwarves. Their infantry is very expensive. It is quite good, but it's very expensive. So I'm using the chaff up front. We got some orc laborers, goblin laborers spread out, and then as far as an infantry line, I've got a mix of warriors, great weapons, and the blazing beards of Baz-Harak. This is going to have a satchel charge on it. I am using Astrogoth Iron Hand here, and I do have the the Hell Hammer or whatever he uses, and Lore of Hashut, and then I've got some blunderbusses, just one unit. Chaos Dwarf foot skirmishers are very tough, but they're very expensive. So I only brought one of them. I'm going to slow it down for a second because we're about to get a battle going here. I've got some Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons on either flank to help fend off, or actually, never mind, just one unit of those. And then I've got the Taruk on the other side. Now, as far as the army goes, there's some Marauder Champions with great weapons here. These guys are some tough infantry, so don't want to underestimate them. They're just a really solid unit. Those are not Marauders with great weapons. In any case, we've got Marauder Berserkers and then some more champions, so very heavy infantry contingent here for Indy. He's also got the Soul Crusher Mammoth here, which has some damage negation. It's going to be a very tough unit, and it also has the War Shrine to inspire nearby units. There's a Famir Warrior here, great at armor sundering, AP damage. And then in the back, we've got some Marauder Hunters with axes. Very dangerous units, and they can take down shield parry, or shield block chance. So there's 3 of those back in the back. So that's Indy's army, and it's led by Wulfric. So anyway, let's get things going here, and we'll kind of see how this one plays out. Initially, Wulfric comes tearing in. I'm going to chase him off with Astrogoth Iron Hand. My infantry is actually going to be pretty hard pressed against these champions. We'll do just fine against the Berserkers, but I've got to deal with that Soul Crusher, or else he will crush my soul. I ended up doing a bit of a countercharge here against the Marauder Champions to help soften them up a bit. And I'm going to use my Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses to work against the Mammoth. And Indypride knows darn well that those blunderbusses can't be allowed to stand. But if he's chasing, it gives my my Ford Taruk here a chance to take a chunk out of that Mammoth. But look at that, just crushing through the front line are those Marauder Champions. And I'm already really struggling. I bring down the Great Taurus to help out in this fight. We can level that one out. And I'm going to continue just moving these blunderbusses away and chasing with the Taruk. I can't let these blunderbusses get killed early. They're too expensive. And here, look, this chaff coming in handy. I'm able to get in the way of these incoming hounds. I won't be able to stop them, but I can get in their way. Look at the terror out here, sending some orc laborers out. The Mammoth is really having an impact on this fight. We need some magic here that's going to make these guys weaker to fire damage. Some of my units have fire damage, so it's a chance for me to dish out a little bit extra. And you can see that Astrogoth is doing quite well right now against Wulfric, but there's a lot of hunters, and the Famir are still back there in the back and have me very worried at the moment. I'm able to get my Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons over to chop up these Ice Wolves, which, again, Indy, very focused on those blunderbuss, and I'm able to use my my Taruk here to really good effect against the Soul Crusher. But I've still got a heck of a battle in front of me here. I've still got to deal with Wulfric. several hunters, some regrouping infantry, and some Famirs. So the engagements, like I'm kind of holding my own here, but it's not great at the moment, and there's a lot more enemies to go. I've got to continue to protect these blunderbusses. They have not gotten really any value yet, and I need that value out of those units. They're going to be absolutely critical. I do manage to break through on my right flank, and I'm going to start putting pressure against these hunters, but Wulfric and the Mammoth are here to help intercept them. That's not going to be great for me. My Tarik is engaged with Famir. This is also not great because they armor Sunder. These are really tough weapons. I'm going to need to get in there and to give them some support. My Great Taurus is taking some damage, and my Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons are able to break back here. I am going to charge into these Marauder Hunters, but I got to be careful. There's a lot of damage-dealing units around here, like these other Hunters, and I can't let this unit get overcommitted and die. Right now it's going to be charged by the Mammoth, so this is already not a great job here, but I did use this as an opportunity to get the Blunderbuss in position. I'm going to, again, make these guys weak to fire damage. Astrogoth has fire damage. And you can see the Blunderbuss is really working that Soul Crusher as they get shots in there. Very dangerous against those units. My Renders with great weapons, though, unfortunately took a ton of damage to that Mammoth. It was really not a great situation for me to put them into. We have some wolves out here that I've temporarily forgotten about, some infantry that I'm going to start moving all those back here very soon. And I got some warriors that came back from routing here too that we're going to get recommitted in the fight. Another attack against my blunderbusses by Indy. Again, he knows these units really need to die. But at this point, we're finally going to trap and kill the Soul Crusher. I had to be persistent with it, but at the same time, Soul Crusher has really taken a toll on my army. So you can see that probably not going to be huge value on it, but it's enough that it caused routes and trouble for me. And now the real threat that I've got left is these Marauder Champion Infantry. They're going to be tough, real tough to take out. And then these Famir are also going to be a difficult target for me to finish off. The Tarik and Astrogoth, they're both strong, but these Famir warriors are also quite strong. Look at the Hounds chasing my blunderbusses. I can't really allow these units to just be run off like this. This is too much value loss for me. So I'm going to bring some units back from routing and just continue to fight this one here. Hopefully we'll be able to get those blunderbuss units back. At the moment, nothing's coming back. I do have this Goblin Laborer I'm going to use to try and save some small amount of my my blunderbusses. We'll see whether I'm able to. The blunderbusses at least did help me get rid of the Mammoth. And I'm using my magic, doing everything I can up here, but we're kind of starting to get overmatched. The Tarik is going down, and Wulfric is starting to get a little damage done. He's still not doing great against Astrogoth, but you know it's a fight. I'm going to keep trying here. I'm going to try and avoid that infantry. We really need to try and get rid of Wulfric, but of course Wulfric is faster than us, and he doesn't want any part of this right now, and I don't really blame him. I am regathering my my units back from routing. We did get rid of the Beast of Tashnor, at least temporarily, and hopefully we'll be able to get the blunderbusses back. They're still hunters, and Wulfric is using them for cover right now, and that's really a great plan. So I'm fighting a bit of an uphill battle at the moment. I don't think I'm going to have enough units left to pull this one off, but I'm going to try and regroup a little and see what we can do. So I'm going to fast forward for a minute while I run back to some of my regrouping units. None of these units are particularly powerful, except for the blunderbusses and Astrogoth. The Renders are just so beat up at this point, there's very little left that they can do for me. I'm going to try and charge them through and keep these Marauder Hunters off of my Lord. Again, using my magic here to get better fire damage against these guys that makes them weak to fire damage. And then I've got my Goblin Laborers trying to stop this Marauder Champion who is just bulldozing straight towards my blunderbusses. And I thought I could rout them, and they still had 1,100 hit points here. It really looks like they didn't have much left. That's actually pretty confusing up here, and that's where I was looking. So it ends up costing me my blunderbusses. So, big mistake there for me. Hunter of Champions goes down on Astrogoth. I'm just not going to be able to pull this one out. Indypride's Norscan army is going to best me here. And it was a good fight. I felt like I did pretty well to get rid of Soul Crusher. I did a bit of a blunder early with my wolves, and I lost them. This one came back from routing a little too late. That could have been really useful, helping me out. But regardless, a fun battle. And one that Indy did quite well in there as he defeats me with his Norscan army here. Those Marauder Champions, man, don't underestimate these guys. Really solid units, and they came in and did some really good work. And honestly, these were just standard Chaos Dwarf infantry, but they're still Dwarf infantry. They're pretty tough. So you can see just how effective these units were in combat. Even the Berserkers doing quite well there because of their anti-infantry bonus. And then the Hunters, they may not have done a ton, but they were enough to keep me away from Wulfric and kind of provide a safe background there for him to retreat to. So still quite effective. Beast of Tashnar picking up a bunch of kills and pretty solid value there. The Soul Crusher did not get a ton of value. It did do a fair bit of damage, but Wulfric, of course, with a little more there. Those Famir Warriors were a pain in the butt. You can see they didn't get a ton of kills, but they did get pretty darn good value because they were chunking out at my Lord and my Bull Centaur renders. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed that one. Thank you to Indypride for playing it with me, or Wormkins. Definitely appreciate, or Wormkins, sorry, that's a faction. I thought it was like a nickname he had on there. It's like, what? Anyway, no, it's a faction. All right, I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War Warhammer 3.